High Court is now in session. Honorable Judge Mina is presiding. The case name is Siti Salma against CIMB Bank Berhad. Nakib will act as Siti Salma, which is plaintiff and lawyer from the firm Rozaimi Halim and Associate. Siti Haja Emilia will act as CIMB Bank Berhad, which is defendant and lawyer from firm Muhammad Ganisan and Nazir Associate. And Mina will act as Muhammad Arif, which is judges. And the court proceeding may start now.
Thank you. You may be seated. Court now in session. We call Siti Salma binti Yusuf versus CIMB Bank, Tumpuan Auto Sdn Berhad. Third party is now in session. Is the plaintiff ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defendant ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
We will now hear opening statement from the plaintiff.
Good morning, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, my client purchased a new Nazaria car from the third party under a 7-year hire purchase facility, the hire purchase agreement provided by the defendant. My client husband did not check the car chassis number when he took possession of the car on her behalf from the third party. About 5 years later, my client discovered that the chassis number on her car was different from that stated in its registration card. The chassis number stated on the registration card belonged to another car of the same make purchased by a person named Dimyati. Then my client lodged a police report and complained to the car dealer, Naza, about the matter and continued to diligently pay per hire purchase installment. 4 months later, 2 agents of the defendant came to her house to repossess the car in full view of her neighbors. However, my client and her husband protested and called the police, who took the car to the police station, where my client showed the police and the repossessed proof that she never defaulted in hire purchase payment. A representative from NASA also arrived to explain that the problem was due to a mix-up in the registration plate and chassis number between the plaintiff car and Dimyati's. NASA wrote to the Road Transport Department, RTD, requesting it to amend the engine and chassis number on both the vehicle concerned, but RTD replied that it could not take any action until Dimyati car was produced for verification test. The car that Dimyati bought could not be located.
Thank you, Counsel. We may now hear the opening statement from the defendant to defend the plaintiff to rest their case.
Good morning, Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen. I am Siti Haja Emilia and I would be here as the lawyer for the defendant.
Plaintiff lawyer, please call your first witness. Shafiq, please take the stand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give is the truth and whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Hello, Shafiq. It's been years since we last met. How are you?
I'm fine, Nakib.
It is true that you saw 2 agents of the defendant come to the plaintiff's house to repossess the car?
Yes, I saw it, Nakib.
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection accepted.
My client went to the bank to claim the title of the car, but the bank refused to give the title, even though my client has not defaulted of any payment due to an error on the chassis number. The chassis on the title is different with the chassis number on the car. The defendant blamed the third party for the discrepancy in the registration of the plaintiff due to defendant's failure to be able to pass a good title to my client. So my client wants to claim for full refund.
Due to the event, CIMB Bank Berhad is not at fault. The third party should be responsible for the discrepancy in the registration of the plaintiff car. The error in the chassis number was also curable. Then the third party blamed the plaintiff for not checking the chassis number when they taking delivery of the car because the third party had followed its standard operating procedure.
Plaintiff counsel, do you want to cross-examine on?
No, Your Honor.
We will now hear closing statement on behalf of Siti Salma binti Yusuf.
In conclusion, Again, I'm on behalf on my client seeking a verdict not guilty for not checking the chassis number as it was supposed to be done by the defendant before they approved the hire purchase agreement. Therefore, my client was able to claim for damages due to failure to pass a good title.
Defendant, you may give your closing.
In conclusion, the case may not arise if Siti Salma examines her car properly before proceeding with the hire purchase agreement. Due to the negligence of the plaintiff, we claim that the defendant has a right not to pass a good title.
The court is now in recess. All rise. All rise. The 43rd High Court is now in session and Honorable Judge Mina is presiding.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, plaintiff and defendant, for the submission presented just now. The verdict has been made by the court considering the circumstances and evidence adduced. I hereby deal with respect. The plaintiff claim has pleaded in the statement of claim is dismissed. Each party is to bear its own cost. There was no conclusive proof that defendant was unable to pass a good title. Under Section 7B of Hire Purchase Act 1967, the ability to pass a good title must be decided at the time when plaintiff had paid all sum due under the hire purchase agreement. It was a case of an error in the recording of the correct chassis number. No one tampered with the chassis number to the extent it could not be said there had been total failure of consideration. The plaintiff's claim for full refund was thus not strictly supported in law as per in paragraph 43. The gist of plaintiff defamation claim has slandered by conduct combined with verbal statement made by the alleged agent of defendant. Although there was no firm authority on the issue whether they could be slandered on by conduct, it was incumbent on plaintiff to be provided full particular of claim in compliance with paragraph 78 of the rule of High Court 1980. Sufficient particulars of alleged defamation and the publication of alleged defamatory statement had to be provided. There was, however, very little by the way of necessary particular of actual evidence to prove the allegation made as per paragraph 31 to 32. It appeared on the probability that the error in the recording of the chassis number was result of human error. It was clear that both of the plaintiff and the defendant could not be blamed. The plaintiff case was unsubstantiated and it allowed would result in unjustice enrichment. Thank you for your service and the court dismissed.